What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. This is American Crime Story, the assassination of Gianni Versace, episode 5. Alright, everybody, this episode did not give me a whole lot of Gianni Versace, which is what I wanted, but they gave us a little bit, so I'm gonna take what I could get. Last night we got more of the same thing, the story, you know, the same story that we've been getting, so the backstory. So this is the story about Jeff and Andrew's relationship and David's relationship and how that whole thing came to fruition. So it's basically a prequel to the episode, to the 4th episode. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, at the beginning of this episode, Donatella and Gianni argue about a magazine article that Gianni wants to do with Antonio. Basically, he wants to come out of the closet. Donatella is against this. She argues with Antonio. You know, they got a little snarky, you know, thing going on between the two of them, which is why you can see why things just totally went to shit after Gianni died. And she doesn't want him to come out because apparently Perry Ellis, which I did not know, died of AIDS, and she talks about how he came out of his last fashion show, he could hardly walk, and he had to be held up by his assistant, and how when he passed away, everybody just abandoned his brand. Grew up in the 90s, so when you think about it, Perry Ellis was a big brand, and it started to be urban too. People started wearing Perry Ellis. It was a name, and it did just kind of disappear. I never knew why, but now I know why, because he died, he had AIDS, and it was a stigma. She thinks it's Antonio's idea, so you know, she argues with him, and Gianni says, listen, stop. You know, it's my ideal, and this what the hell we gonna do, girl, and I need for you to support me. She's, you know, she just says you live in a beautiful world, you're surrounded by kindness and love, so you know you don't understand that the world is an ugly place. And he says he thought he was gonna die, and he's not dying, so he's gonna use that life to, you know, do something. Basically saying, I'm alive, I'm gonna be who I am, I'm gonna come on out this closet, and I don't care what nobody has to say about it. And I was here for it, because you know what? Live your life. Be you. Be who you are. Don't let nobody judge you. You know, I'm thinking in the fashion world, it will be a little bit easier to come out, but apparently it's the same type of stigma, especially when you're dealing with business and, you know, corporations and putting your stuff on the New York Stock Exchange and all that good stuff, okay? So he say he gonna do it, honey. He's gonna live his life. Oh, okay. So then we flash to 97. We flash forward to 1997. This is 4 days before Jeff's murder. So Andrew is scamming American Express. Y'all, Andrew was a scammer. He scammed American Express at the same time he's sticking a needle in between his toes. So he was on drugs pretty much this whole time, okay? We don't know how long he had been on drugs. I mean, it looked like he on some serious shit too. He ain't on no weed or, you know, nothing like that. He doing real drugs. When you sticking yourself, baby, that's a whole nother level. So he's on the phone scamming American Express so he can get a plane ticket to get to wherever he's trying to go. I don't know exactly where he's going, but you see that he's living in a filthy room. He has suits in the closet. He packs up all those suits. When he pulls the suits away, it reveals like the collage he's starting to build of Versace, so you can tell that he's starting to obsess over this man, and he's collecting, you know, articles about him and putting on the wall. And I just thought it was interesting to how he was on the phone with American Express, and you can see his entire surroundings, like everything around him is crumbling. His life is falling apart, because if you remember, we're seeing the last days of his life too, you know. Everything around him is falling apart, but yet he's still holding on to these lies and, you know, this mirage he has of this, you know, fancy life that he lives or whatever. So that was a nice juxtaposition. Then we go to a man who's working at a factory, and he goes on break, and Jeff is sitting at the table. So Jeff apparently works in this factory too. So they just, you know, chit-chat about each other, and the man asked him, was he in the service? Yes, Jeff was in the service. He was an officer in the Navy. His sister and his brother are also in the service. It's like a family thing. So the dude is constantly questioning him, like, well, you went to this school and you was this and you was officer in the Navy, like, why would you be working here? Jeff gets upset. He says it was his choice. It was his choice. It was his choice. So, you know, through this conversation, you understand that don't ask, don't tell was put into law in 1994, I want to say, and then it wasn't even taken out until Obama, y'all, 2011. So just because people were in the military and they didn't ask and they didn't tell doesn't mean people didn't know that they were gay, and it doesn't doesn't mean they didn't suffer consequences because of that, okay? Basically, it's inferring that he is gay. That's why he's not there. And the man tried to say, my bad, you know, I didn't mean to ask no questions. My thing is, but if you don't want people to know or you had issues with that, why wouldn't you just have a standard shit that you say to people when they ask you questions? Because, I mean, you ain't got to get all that in depth and tell this man all your business. Just tell him I was in a servant. You could have said, no, you know, I did my time, and, you know, I'm glad I'm out. You know, I like my regular life or whatever. Stop letting people in your business. You're getting all upset. Jeff and David are at the airport. Now, in real life, only Jeff went to the airport. But for the show, Jeff and David meet Andrew at the airport. And before he gets there, they discuss how they're only going to give him this weekend. He's a liar. He's done with him after this weekend. And David is like, why? Well, because of what he did. So apparently he sent Jeff's dad a postcard saying XOXO, kill hugs and kisses, you know, love and all of this, trying to basically threaten him and expose him to his parents because his parents do not know he gay. So that's you know, that's something that David said he don't want to, you know, talk to him no more. Not David. Jeff says he don't want to talk to him no more because of that, and he says that he is done with him after this weekend. And so he says he's going to stay with his sister. That way he don't have to stay in an apartment with Jeff. You know, they'll each take a night with him, basically. When he arrives, Andrew's all excited. He's like, oh, you know, it's going to be like old times. And you can tell they're both very leery, and they really don't want to be bothered with his ass, okay? But because they both make up excuses to why they can't hang out with him. Jeff says he has a conference all weekend, so he can't do it. David says he's going out with his friends tomorrow night, so he can't see him. It's not somebody he knows, so, you know, don't worry about it. Andrew and David arrive at his apartment, and Andrew has a gift for David. So he opens it up, and it's a watch. So David does not want to accept the watch. I guess the watch would be like a ring or something. I'm not sure if it was like equivalent to a ring, if that was people did back then, or if that was just specific to this movie. Somebody let me know in the comments, but because it seemed like when he gave him the watch, he knew exactly what it meant that he wanted to get married. Andrew then drops on his knees. He asks David to marry him. And David's like, we can't get married. It's illegal. You know, we don't want to get married. He said, well, you know, we can have a commitment ceremony. And David says, no. It's not because we can't get married. No, we can't get married. Okay, we. And he like, just think about it. Think about it for a few days. You don't have to tell me an answer now. Just keep the watch. He said, I got a new job in San Francisco in a condo. And I want you to, I'm a new person, and I want somebody to be new with. David know he lying off jump. Off rip. David already know he lying, but he never, you know, it gets to a breaking point, but if I feel like they never caught him on his bullshit, you know, as he was doing it. It was like they just was like, boy, why you lying? I'd have been like, boy, you lying. You know you ain't got no damn condo in no San Francisco. Stop all that lying. But maybe that's so just... Jeff is with his sister at her house, and he says that Andrew is in town, and she's like, why do you keep letting him have control over your life? And he like, well, he helped me through a hard time, so I owe him. But that's it after this. And she know about the postcard. She was like, you need to stop letting him have this type of control over you, because he was really fucking with you, like with this postcard. He was threatening you, okay? Why don't you just, she said, why don't you just tell mom and dad that you gay? And he like, no, I don't want to tell him I'm gay or whatever. So, and he talks about how he wants to be an uncle so bad, and you know, they trying to make us, you know, care about Jeff or whatever. So, the sister's pregnant. So now we went Andrew and David. They go to a poker club, and you know, David said he hanging out with his homegirl. This homegirl name is Linda. So he introduced them, and what was interesting to me, he said, this is my friend Andrew. Andrew was like, I'm more than a friend. And then he hold up his wrist with the watch. It was like, this watch is worth $10,000. I was like, really, Andrew? It's interesting to me how Andrew, like I said, the power thing, y'all, he likes to exert his power over other people, and if the other person has more power, he will try to bring them down to his level by insulting them and doing things like this. So it's interesting that he just put that out there, like right there. So they go on with the night, and you know, David and his friend are dancing, they having a good time, and Andrew is sitting at the couch, and it's sitting at the table, and Andrew it reminded me of like a scene from Dexter. If anybody ever watched Dexter, like sociopaths, they don't have like regular emotions like regular people, so it's almost like he was jealous of the fact that he can't feel genuine emotions and they're having so much fun. It's like he wants to have fun like them. They humanize his character in that way, if you haven't noticed, that he cannot have genuine connections with people because he's sick, like he lies, he's, you know what I'm saying? It's like he, you know, I can't explain it. Somebody help me explain it who is a psychologist or have a psychology degree in the comments. But it's like he can't make that connection and he wants to, but he cannot. When they finish dancing, they come back and sit down. Linda and him make small talk. You know, he tells him that, you know, she's like, you know, David's a great guy and X, Y, and Z. He said there's no one that he loves more. So David comes to the table, Andrew like, let's dance. So he jump up and tries to emulate, like I said, this fun that they're having, but David ain't with that shit. David said he don't need the weekend to get married. They cannot get married because he don't want to marry his ass, okay? And he walk off and leave Andrew dead on the dance floor by his damn self. I said, damn, David, you know, like I said, if he had maybe parceled it out some more, like, I know you lying, stop lying, you lie too much, I can't marry you. Maybe he wouldn't have ended up in the situation he was in. That's a maybe though. So who knows? Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? David and Andrew are at the apartment. David gives Andrew back the watch, telling him he can't keep it. He knows that his money is tight. And Andrew like, what you talking about? Money is tight. And he's like, it's okay to ask for help. We know, you know, that you are lying. Like, you need to stop lying about your situation. We can talk or whatever if you want to talk. And he says, you need to stop telling these crazy stories. David's going out with a friend, but he says he can cancel with his friend if they just want to talk. But Andrew's, no, he's going to San Francisco and he don't need to talk. So when he leaves, Andrew follows him and sees that he's with a dude, because basically he was like, the guy that you're with, and is that? And he was like, David said no, but that's the damn lie. So he followed him and he see that David is actually on a date with the guy, and the guy comes back to his apartment. And so then he goes over to Jeff's house, because remember Jeff said he was going to stay with his sister, and he's in Jeff's apartment. He started digging through all this man's stuff in all his drawers. I think low-key think he was looking for money, like a little bit, because he broke as hell. But he finds his whites, his uniform, and he also finds his gun. So he takes his gun, he puts on, you know, the uniform, and then we flash back to Jeff in his earlier time. Jeff in the military. He also finds a video in the box, and he puts the video in the VCR, and it's a video of an interview, like a 48-hour style interview. I believe that the interview in real life was on 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Jeff was in silhouette, and he's speaking about being gay and don't ask, don't tell, and being in the military. The show is just playing in the background while Andrew is looking at the gun and all of that type of stuff. And then we flash back to Jeff in the military. Jeff is in the military and he's going below deck, and there's a fight. They're basically beating up this gay dude, like just beating his ass, and everybody just standing around and looking. So in the middle, they break up the fight, and the gay dude punched the other dude, but they break it all up. So in the middle of the night, he wakes up and he sees that they're beating this dude. They're like choking him in the bed, and they're beating the shit out of him. Why? This is my thing about straight men. Just because you straight and somebody else gay and they don't mean they want you. What is it about you that make you think every gay man wants you? Child, bye. They might think you ugly, musty, or whatever. You think that gay men don't have no standards? What type of child? Good night. Anyway, so they beating this man up. So the next day, he goes to eat in the mess hall. They sit at the table, and that same guy that saw them in the bathroom was like, hey, you know, they got one guy, you know, Piers 5 and 6, that's where the gay people meet and hook up or whatever. And so the one guy, they cut him a deal, and they saying that, you know, you just need to name the officers that you've been with, and he don't know their names, but he know them by tattoo. And he was like, you got any tattoos, Jeff? And everybody started giggling or whatever. So later on, he gets called to the captain's office, and the captain tells him that, gives him a pamphlet and tells them that without the code we have nothing. Make sure you read the pamphlet. He don't say anything about being gay because it's don't ask, don't tell. Remember that. So he gives them the pamphlet, so now they know. Okay, now they know. Jeff is upset. He's really depressed about this, guys. He goes into the bathroom. He's in the middle of the night. He starts reading the pamphlet. You can tell he on edge, because if somebody flushed the toilet, you know he looking around, because they know now. The next morning, when nobody's in the whatever you want to call it, the room they all sleep in, he gets up. He puts on his full whites. He goes into the bathroom and he attempts to hang himself. Now, I knew he wasn't going to be able to hang himself, because right after the guy messed with him about the tattoo, he went to the bathroom and tried to cut the tattoo off, which to me was stupid, because if you cut a tattoo off, you're going to be bleeding. You know, when he went into the captain's office, he was still bleeding. They're going to know you out here slicing tattoos off. You understand what I'm saying? So they already know you have a tattoo. So I knew he wasn't going to be able to kill himself, because he wasn't even able to cut his own leg. So he tries to kill himself, but he doesn't do it. And so then he gets dressed and he go downtown and he end up at the gay bar. So this is his first time in the gay bar. So he goes in, and y'all, you can tell that he is mesmerized. He's torn about his feelings, because he was looking at this man. He was rolling it, popping it, pop. Bow, bow. He was like, damn, he look damn. no. You can tell he was, you know, he was warring inside himself or whatever. So he all upset about it. He about to leave. He turns around to leave, and then he sees Andrew. Boy, why you ain't leave, boy? Andrew, you know, makes a little small talk with him. They talk about, you know, he's embarrassed to be in there. He could tell it's his first time, and then, you know, they start making small talk. So they make it to the table, they laugh, and oh, they having a good time. Oh, ha, ha, ha. And you know, this goes to show how charming Andrew is. He's a very charming man, you know. He's very nice, and he was very supportive. Like, it was almost freaky because it's like, this dude is totally cuckoo, and he's really gaming this man like this. So Jeff feels really comfortable with him. He tells him that he's in the military. You know, Andrew is like, it has to be hard. And he thanks him for not making him feel embarrassed about being in the club for the first time. Andrew and Jeff's relationship progressed over time. They become friends. I don't know if they were lovers or not. I'm not sure. And he tells him that he wants to do an interview with the 48 Hour Show, or with a different kind of show. They call it another show. And Andrew discourages him. He tells him, you know, well, first of all, he talks about, you know, it's a shame that you have to run around like a criminal and these straight men can stand proud in their uniform and you have to hide, because he tells them, I'm going to be in silhouette, you know, they're going to disguise my voice. But he's like, you're still taking a huge risk, you know, with his career. He's like, I know, but you know, I just feel like I have to do this. So you can see now that the stories are paralleling with Gianni's story of he has to do this. He has to come out. He has to be in this article. And this is how these stories are parallel, where Gianni's coming out is comfortable. He's in a nice hotel. He's in, you know, people are supportive of him, versus Jeff's coming out, which he has to hide, but they still are doing something that they both need to do for themselves to be whole and full people. So Andrew, like I said, he discourages him from doing it. Jeff says this is something that he needs to do. So we see Jeff pulling up to a hotel. At the same time, we see Gianni entering a hotel for the interview. Then we're with Gianni. So Gianni and Antonio arrive at the hotel for the interview. He says he's nervous. He goes in, he sits down with the guy, and he starts to do the interview, and then he says, wait. Antonio come to the room. He said, this is Antonio. We've been together for 13 years, and I want him to do the interview with me. And the guy's like, oh, okay, wow. And so this article, you can't even really find it, because in the magazine, surprisingly, they didn't put it on the first page. You know, you think this will be this huge story, but they kind of buried it. They kind of buried it in the article, so it didn't really have as much splash as like if it would have came out in 2018, it would have been everywhere. So that was pretty interesting to me. Now, we never got to see the aftermath of Jeff coming out, but we know he was put out of the service, or he left the service for whatever reason, because on the interview he talks about how he was, how they know he's never been promoted. You know, they've never given him any type of serious rank, but he's an officer, and he's a good officer. So he's like, no. So, you know, I'm taking a risk on my career, but my career is probably already over because they already know. So we got both of them coming out, and I really like that, y'all. I really like that this show is tackling like homosexuality, you know, how people feel about it, the stigmas associated with it, the problems and issues that gay people really had to go through in the 90s, because I grew up in the 90s. A lot of this stuff is new information for me just as much as it's new for you guys, because I was a kid during that time. I knew Versace died. I knew he got killed, but I didn't know the circumstances of the situation. So this is very interesting to think, like, because a lot of people think don't ask, don't tell, and that was it. But like, people was getting their ass beat because people knew, you know, they know. You know what I'm saying? They know what's pop. It was interesting to see those two scenes juxtaposed, like I said, situations. I really enjoyed that. So after this, we flash back again to 1997, and we see Jeff comes home to see Andrew in his apartment. He walks in. Andrew ain't even put up the man's suit child back on the shelf. He pissed off because he done looked through his stuff, and he's like, you know, why do you have my suit out? And he like, it's just a uniform. You know, they abandoned you. They kicked you out and all this. And he's like, you know, you never served your country, so you really don't understand. And he's like, well, you don't serve your country. You just a washed up queer with a shitty job and all of this. And he like, hey, you right about that. He like, listen, you got to get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? I don't mess with you no more. I know you're a liar. You know, you need to stop lying and get a grip. And he's like, oh, you know, I really loved you. He tries to charm him, but Jeff pushes away and says, I don't want your love. So he pissed, okay? So at this point, you can see that flip. in Andrew where he flipped crazy, honey. Baby, he left out of the apartment. He didn't say anything. And when you see him zip up his bag, you see that he has Jeff's gun in the bag. So he goes back to David's house, and David is, you know, it's the morning, and he just walks through the door. He said he slipped in behind somebody through the buzzer, and the man that he had there the night before, he was leaving out in the morning, and he was like, you know, I'll call you later. He went to kiss him, but he was like, I'll call you later. So he turned around, and Andrew says that, you know what, we really need to talk. Can we talk tonight? Cool. And so this is how it leads us back to the day when Andrew killed Jeff. That night when David was taking a shower, he had called Jeff and told Jeff, hey, I have your gun, because David has a stalker. His stalker is back in town, and so I had to keep the gun for protection. And Jeff is like, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't be taking my damn gun, okay? Like, you don't even have no license to do this. Do you even have a license to do this? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're insane. He says, I'm gonna come get the gun off of you, but after that, I'm done with you. I'm done with your ass. And he like, well, you said that the first time. Like, the way he said it, I was like, oh man, we already know what's gonna happen, but it's just like, to see it happen, it was like, oh my god. He arrives at the house, and you know, we don't see the father in the elevator, but when they get up there, the door opens, and you know, he has the hammer, what? Okay, and we know what happened after that. At the same time, we get his mom and dad are calling him because his sister went into the hospital and she was having a baby, so he missed out on being an uncle and all that. My overall thoughts about the episode was that it was really good. Like, I do like the fact that they're going back. I mean, it really has become the Andrew Cunanan story and not Gianni Versace. I like that we're getting the backstory on him, but I do feel like, okay, where is the Versace intertwine? You know, where does that intertwine? But I also understand that it's only episode 5. It's a 10-episode show, and him and really the family say him and Versace didn't have any interactions. They deny he knew him at all. But even if they did have interactions, it was only on a few occasions. So they have to, you know, give us more of his backstory. And I really do want to know why he crazy. He did kill people before he got there, so I want to know about that too. But I just miss Gianni, okay? I like, you know, they really portray his character as what he is, or what he was, which was an icon. Like, the way he speaks is like, you know, like when Mufasa speak in Lion King like that, he'd be like, you know, I want a woman like this, and I want it like that, and like this, you know, like a visionary. Like, I like the way they portray him, but sometimes he do get a little speechy preachy, okay? But I get it, because they have to, you know, put us through these themes. You know, really, Ryan Murphy really has focused in on, like I said, homosexuality, the shame behind it, how it trickles down, you know, into other parts of your life, how it affects more than just one person. When that person, you know, cuts off who they are, they're not true to themselves, how it affects their life, how that was during that time for certain people. It really has opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't know prior to that. So I thought it was a good episode. I still want to see more Versace, and I think next week we'll be back in that story with Andrew and him lying. Oh, this will be with the rich man he was with, I guess, prior to this. So this should be interesting to see what goes on with the story. So I want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends, okay? I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace. Oh, one more thing. My charger on my computer is not working right, so I'm going to do the best I can to get this video uploaded and edited as fast as I can, but my new charger won't be here until Saturday. So if you get the video late, it might be late, but I'm going to do my best to get it on time and try to edit it through another means. Alright? Peace.